Hello, hello. Welcome to another conversation lesson. First of all, wishing you guys a happy new year. I may, I hope it will be a wonderful year for everybody watching this. And even if you're watching it later in the year, I hope it'll be a happy new year for you too, whenever you're watching this. Hope you have a great year. All right, well, let's get right to it. So let's just open our Ingu website. I always mention to you, you can come here by yourself, ingu.com. They have a lot of articles you can read through, vocabulary. You can look at these things by yourself as well. Have a conversation with your friends, can discuss some topics. And let's see, we might have a sensitive one year today. Let's do this. Taliban ban women from university in Afghanistan. Ooh. All right. Well, let's make it a little bigger. And we'll start off with our vocabulary. As I always mention, I'm going to read through it. I'd like you to hit pause after each word, read it out loud, read the definition, everything, read it out loud. Make sure you got the pronunciation right. If you're not sure about the meaning, what they give here, you can just type, for example, restrict meaning in Google, and they'll give you the definitions in all the different contexts you may find it. So let's start. First one, restrict, to limit, stop, or control something. China restricts access to a number of websites, including YouTube, Facebook, and Google. Next one, coalition, a group of two or more political parties, countries, etc., that agree to work together to achieve a shared goal. The United States led an international coalition to overthrow the Iraqi government in 2003. Implement, to put a plan, idea, policy, etc. into effect. In 1894, New Zealand became the first country in the world to implement a minimum wage. Interpretation, a way of explaining or understanding something. Protestants and Catholics have different interpretations of the Bible. Condemn, to express total disagreement with and disapproval of. Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 was condemned by the United Nations. And then fulfill, to achieve or complete something one desires, has been promised, etc. At age 62, Walter finally fulfilled his lifelong dream of visiting Italy. All right. Well, let's go right to our article then. Again, I'm going to read the whole article, and you can hit pause after each little line, read it out loud again, make sure you got the pronunciation down, and after that, we'll have a discussion. So let's start. Taliban banned women from university in Afghanistan. Afghanistan's Taliban rulers banned female students from attending universities on December 2022, in the most recent ruling to restrict women's rights and freedoms. The Taliban, sorry, I just got to go back there because my picture's in the way. The Taliban were removed from power in 2001 by a US-led coalition, but returned to government after America's departure in 2021. Despite initially promising to respect the rights of women and minorities, the Taliban have widely implemented their strict interpretation of Islamic law, also known as Sharia. They have banned girls from middle school and high school, restricted women from most employment, and ordered them to wear head-to-toe clothing in public. Women are also banned from parks and gyms. Gee whiz. The decision was announced after a government meeting. A letter shared by the spokesman for the Ministry of Higher Education told private and public universities to implement the ban as soon as possible and to inform the ministry once the ban is in place. I can't fulfill my dreams, my hopes. Everything is disappearing before my eyes and I can't do anything about it, said a third-year journalism and communication student. Is being a girl a crime? If that's the case, I wish I wasn't a girl, she said. She added that she had not lost all hope yet. I will continue my studies in any way. I'm starting online studies, and if it doesn't work, I will have to leave and go to another country, she said. The international community has urged Taliban leaders to reopen schools and give women their right to public space. Stephanie Dujarric, spokesperson of the UN Secretary General, condemned the decision, calling it another broken promise from the Taliban. It's difficult to imagine how a country can deal with all of the challenges that it has without the active participation of women and the education of women, Dujarric said. Oh, that's rough. Goodness me. All right, well, let's go to the discussion questions over here. Just want to get a good. Okay. Anyway, again, I'm going to read the first question, then I will answer it. You can either hit pause before or after I answer it. You can listen to my answer first and then add things to it, or just say how you would answer the question. Or you can pause first, say what you want to say, and then listen and see if we have similar ideas about it, whatever you feel works for you. Number one, what are your thoughts on the Taliban banning women from attending universities in Afghanistan? I think it's a terrible thing. It's crazy. It's like, how can they even do that in today's day and age? Um, yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. At all. Like, say, I don't know what percentage of people are women, but if you, let's say, man, woman, say 50-50, just, so if you have 50% of your total of the nation of your country, 50% women, 50% men, you're cutting out like half the potential from your country because just like, oh, let's not educate even from middle school. That's crazy that they don't even finish high school. Um, you're just wasting so much potential to improve your country and make it better and help improve everything. It's just mind-boggling that they would do something like that. It's crazy. All right, number two, do you find it surprising that Afghan women are banned from parks and gyms? Yeah, all of it's crazy. It's like what it's crazy. How can you do that? Um, we're not living in the 1800s anymore. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's crazy. It's bonkers. Number three, have you been following the situation in Afghanistan over the past few years? I saw some things online. Um, when the US pulled out, when people were running to try and get out because they knew Taliban was going to take over. I don't understand what the US is doing because they went there all these years. They tried to set up everything and create this system for the people, and then they just up and leave without making sure that everything is going to stay. You know, they just like all those years, all the work is just gone. And it makes it look really bad for the US because a lot of people are like, oh, they're just going for the oil. You want democracy because you got oil. So it's just supporting all of these kind of accusations that people make. It's not a good look for the US. It's not a good look for Afghanistan. I mean, yeah, it's a very unfortunate situation. But I haven't been following it like in detail. I just kind of see on social media. One of my friends, I don't know where she's from originally, but she posts a lot of these things about what's going on with the women in Afghanistan and whatnot. Number four, which country do you imagine has the worst women rights record? Um, the worst record. I don't know. I mean, Afghanistan sounds quite terrible. I don't know about Saudi Arabia. They're also quite bad. Um, with the I think they just allowed women to drive quite recently, within the past year or so. Women weren't allowed to drive as well, weren't allowed to go out into public without a male family member going with them. There's all these kinds of crazy rules. It's just crazy if you think about it. It just doesn't make sense at all. If I lived in a country like if I firstly if I was a woman in a country like that, 100% I would be a refugee in another country. I would just get out. No matter, I would get out. Doesn't matter. I'll swim. Watch me swim across the Mediterranean or whatever it takes. But then also, I know in Africa they had that mutilation with the where they cut the woman's genitals. So that was also I don't even know where in Africa that was. Some I want to say Congo but somewhere in the central northern parts of Africa. Also not that good. Number five, what do you make of the claim that a country cannot develop without, excuse me, without the active participation? My tongue got twisted the same way when I read it in the article. Without the active participation of women. I mean, a country can develop without the active participation of women. It can, but it can develop a lot faster if you have women. Obviously, it's like I just said. If you take out 50% of your potential, you could still develop the country. It'll still work. But if you put women in there, it'll just be so much faster. It could possibly develop at twice the speed because you have twice the number of people that can help improve it. Um, yeah, it's just it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't do that. Anyway, yeah. Further discussion. Number one, what changes would you make to improve women's rights in your country? Now they're getting tricky because um, I think in South Africa and Thailand, pretty much the same. Our women have all the rights that they have, but then it comes to these things where a lot of people are saying like, oh, the wage gap and all of that, where if you want to go that deep, uh, I'm gonna I don't think there's like a wage gap really. Because if just think about it logically, if you owned a business and you had to employ somebody where it didn't you had to employ somebody and it didn't need any physical labor, so to hire a stronger man, but just something where you need to use your brain, you need to be creative, you need to hustle, you have a business, you need to run the business. And I've got two employees. I've got a boy and a girl, and I can pay the girl less money. If I own a business, I'm going to pick the girl. If that's the case, if I can pay the girl less money than the man, or the woman less money than the man. So if that really is the case, then there'd be women in all the jobs because at the end of the day, a business is a business. You're going to look at all where you can cut profits, where you can save money. And if women earn less, then yeah, hire a woman. But it's not the case. I mean, everywhere where I've worked, and I've worked in a lot of industries where it's almost majority women. I've been a teacher now, teachers are majority women. I worked in travel way back, travel industry, majority women. And it's all we all earn the same money. You come in and that's where you start, and then maybe there's commission or maybe you get an increase per year, but it's all the same. And then if you wanted, you could, negotiate maybe your increase or something like that, but then it comes down to negotiation skills, not man woman. It's, you know, the only thing that I think could have a negative effect on women maybe is If you're a younger woman, I think some companies, I don't know because I've never been on that level of hiring people. But I think some companies, I've heard this argument before. Some companies may look at younger women and think like, she's gonna want to start a family soon. So then I'm gonna have to pay 6 months maternity leave, and then I have to find temporary staff and all of these things. So I'll rather take the guy. So there maybe. But if they want to stop that, they can just say, all right, we've maternity leave, paternity leave, both are mandatory and both are for the same amount of time. So then it's like, oh, okay, both are young, both might start a family. So let's pick the best person. I don't know. Like I said, I've never been on that level, but um, yeah, that's what I could think. The only thing in the business world, women's rights, other than that, women can do anything that men can do in terms of rights in South Africa and Thailand. So, yeah, that was a long answer and not even directly on the question. Number two, what social or political issues are most important to you personally? Ooh, I'm not much for politics. I always just say, don't mess up where I live. Um, take care of the country, and then I'm fine. Social issues, I'm kind of old school, I don't need a government to, oh, are you okay? Just if you work, you can make a living. If you don't, then suffer until you suffer enough to do something different, go out there, try and find a way. You have to make things work. So I don't have any political or social issues that are hmm. One thing that still grinds my gears, but I don't know, there's nothing that I can really do about it as an individual, I would assume, is slavery, like modern day slavery. People always talk about slavery's done. Like there are millions of slaves out there, and that the fact that nothing gets done about that is just grinds my gears so badly. Um, Human trafficking, uh, I wish something could be done about that. That's something that I really wish something could be done about. Yeah, it upsets me so bad. I read a book many years ago about like modern day slavery, like sex work, like human trafficking for sex workers, and then also manual labor for men, fishing these fishing ships or boats, and factory workers, and yeah, there's just horrible things going on out there, and people just turn a blind eye. I can't believe it. I cannot understand it. Yeah. All right. Number three. Are there any laws in your country that you think should be changed? In South Africa, not really. I mean, they've got BEE, which is Black Economic Empowerment, and I think it's time for them to stop that now because they implemented that to counter the effect of apartheid to help black people, get back up to level playing field with the whites. And I think it's been, what's it now, like 20, going on 30 years almost now. And I mean, hey, if you haven't caught up in 30 years, you're not going to. So I think it's time for them to stop that. And then in Thailand, I usually mention Thailand because I live here at the moment. Um, only rule I would like them to change is the buying of alcohol. There's only certain hours in the day that you're legally allowed to purchase alcohol. And it's something like from, what is it? It's early in the morning sometime for a few hours, and then from like, no, there's like different hours in the day. And a lot of times if we go to the supermarket and we want to buy some drinks for the weekend or whatever, then, oh, you can't buy it now because God knows they think you're going to drink yourself to death. But we're buying things to, to drink over the weekend. So it's just a silly rule. Um, they should change that one. That's all. All right, number four. Would you have any interest in studying journalism? Why or why not? No, no interest whatsoever. Um, I don't care for that, even though I think we need some good journalists out there, but journalists just at the end of the day gets controlled by whichever company they work for. So even, there's very few places where you can get the news unbiased in any form. Number five, a state that does not educate and train women is like a man who only trains his right arm. 100%. Yes. What are your thoughts on this? Yes, so true. That's what I said. If you're just working half your body, then this other half you could do so much more if you just use your whole body and just use all your people. It just doesn't make sense. All right. Well, guys, that is it. That's everything for today. Um, yeah, terrible situation. I don't know what to say about it. I cannot believe other countries don't get involved. Like, hey, get involved. United Nations or whoever, America, go back. Democracy them again. Whatever you need to do, people with power need to get involved and do something about it. I mean, or, I can't fly over and be like, hey, don't do that. It's not going to do anything. The people with power need to do it. So, anyway, that's it, guys. Have a good evening. Keep practicing. Try and do something every day. I'll try and put up videos almost every day, 5 days a week. So keep working at it. See you next time. Bye bye.